We have the second order of business, a presentation, Jared Green, showcasing his new book, There's a Creature in My Belly, to the City Council.
Hi, good morning. Why don't you come on up, Jared? I'm going to turn this over to Councilmember Nguyen. I'm a little late to the party and getting to know Jared and his work, but I did have the pleasure of meeting him. But Cindy, please, we got to know him through your office as well.
Well, definitely glad that you came to the party. But listen, I met Jared right after November when I won the election, and literally fell in love with Jared. So he's actually a young author of a new book called There's a Creature in My Belly. And one thing that resonated with me as I'm viewing the book as a mother with young children, I saw that the book helped children to open up. Because many times when kids, they keep stuff inside and they don't want to talk about it. And as parents, we try to figure out all sorts of way of getting our kids to share their thoughts with us. Right? And when I read the book, it resonated. And then not only that, but Jared is an amazing young person in our community, and I definitely wanted to recognize his work and give him an opportunity to share the book with the entire city of New Orleans. So Jared?
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for allowing me to be here today. Definitely came a long way to sitting here right now. I don't know how much time I have, or if I could tell you a little bit of backstory, if that's okay.
You got 15 minutes, Jared.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to use all of them, too. So, number one, let me say thank you to my councilwoman in my district, Cindy Nguyen. Thank you for coming out last night. Thank you for being as supportive as you are, and I have always been since I met you, even before you were actually the councilwoman. So that does mean a lot to me. Thank you to Ms. Palmer, too, as well, for recognizing me and seeing something in me when a lot of people didn't. But because you saw me and you saw something in me, you called me in and said, we need to make sure people know who you are and people need to see you. I would like to also thank Councilmember Jason Williams, too, as well. I've been knowing him for a couple of years now, and I've always presented different ideas to him and tried to get some things off the ground and get some things started. And he would direct me. He would give me his contacts. He would say, go talk to this one, go talk to that one. Well, 2 years later, I finally did produce something. And it was this book, There's a Creature in My Belly. And so my children's book, There's a Creature in My Belly, is actually a direct reflection of me and my relationship that I have with the higher power, and I do believe in God. And for a long time, well, a lot of you would know me or have seen me in the city council working under the predecessor of Ms. Nguyen, Mr. James Gray, as an intern. And so a lot of you didn't really know why I was here, but I'm about to let you know why now. I'm a young kid from the lower Ninth Ward, across the canal, Tupelo Street. And growing up wasn't very easy for me. My friends all did similar things, and so I followed suit pretty much. When I left my house at 17 years old, I had to find a way to survive. I wasn't very comfortable at home, nor was I very happy, nor did I feel very loved. And so I felt as though it was time for me to go make a difference in my life and go see what it is that God would have for me. Well, little did I know that survival is very tough, it's very hard, especially in the mean streets of New Orleans. And so I found myself getting in trouble. I found myself committing crimes and finding ways to try to get by as far as money. I realized now that I was really measuring my success and my progress on other people's rulers as opposed to being happy with the progress that I was making. I realize now that everything happens for a reason, and all of those things that led up to me writing this book and creating this book happened for a reason too as well. So I actually came to City Hall through a Job One program ran by the former mayor's office, and I believe that that program is still in existence today. So had I not been in trouble and had not gotten in trouble, I actually would not have been able to get into that program to be able to get into City Hall. What they didn't know, obviously, is that I had actually been involved in my community and in politics since the age of 5 years old, whether it's community cleanups or elections, whether it's the fundraisers or everything else that comes along with being a part of the community. I was there. I literally helped rebuild the high school that I graduated from. I had a hand and played a part in helping rebuild Einstein Charter School in the East too as well. And I can go down the list of places that I've been and the cleanups that I've done, but it honestly isn't about me, and that's not why I'm actually here. I'm actually here on behalf of the kids in New Orleans who are just like me, who were trying to fill voids because they didn't feel loved, they didn't feel appreciated, who felt like they were still good, although they had gotten in trouble, but the only thing that people can see was the trouble that came with them. But there were a few of you and a few others who saw something in me, who allowed me to be in the office, who took me under your wing, who taught me things, who showed me things and said, none of those things matter. So being in City Hall, that's great and all. You get to meet people, you're making connections and everything like that, but it didn't really give me the peace. It didn't really fully fill that void that I had. And so soon, actually shout out to Hashim Walters, who had his campaign and his election. I was helping him out with his, and I was helping the councilman out with his. And I realized something soon after, whether they would win or lose, eventually I realized that I would still be in the same place that I was before. Months before I would help them, I found myself in my apartment by myself, really going through it. And it's an issue that in the black community, I don't believe that we talk enough about, which is mental health. As strong-minded as I am, and as much as I've been through and have been able to get through, as many people as I've been able to help, I didn't feel like I was getting that help. I didn't feel like those hands were reaching out towards me and saying, let me help you up, let me comfort you, let me just show you some love. And so in that moment, because of the issues that I was dealing with my son, Jace, who is actually, this book is dedicated to, because I didn't feel like I was up to par and I didn't feel like I was a good dad and no one showed me how to do this and I wasn't ready for it. I wish I bit off more than I can chew at this point, and nothing's going right. I'm in an apartment by myself. I no longer wanted to be on this earth anymore, and I had suicidal thoughts. Honestly, to be honest with you, I wrote this book, and I wasn't supposed to be here with this book today. So I thank God that I am here, that he did keep me, because in that moment, before writing the book, I started talking out loud. And I said, well, you know, no one loves me, no one likes me. I can't go to jail for the rest of my life. I can't keep trying to do it this way. I can't keep a job at this point. I had gotten let go from jobs at Coach, selling $400,000 in product in 5 months. K Jewelers averaging $16,000 a month in sales, and couldn't hold on to those jobs because they would look at my former record, although I would tell them that that wasn't me and that's not what I did, and those cases did get dismissed eventually. They wouldn't see past that, and they wouldn't see on the inside of me, which was a problem I felt as though I dealt with growing up too as well. And so I would say now that I would get up from that moment, God told me that everything I needed was on the inside of me, that he thought that I was just right and that I was perfect and that I was actually right on track. He said that there is absolutely nothing and nobody that can stop what I'm about to do in your life. And that's actually something that I want to say to everybody in this room today, that we all have that creature in our belly. Even some of us with our occupations today, we're happy with that, but that's not it for us. And I would say that you're put on this earth for a purpose, and you find your purpose within your passion. And I would also say that if you go your whole life on this earth and you don't get a chance to find that purpose, and you make a lot of people happy, well, that's great and all. But there is a lot of people who are dependent on you, and if you just don't do what you have to do, there are a lot of young men, just like myself, who won't make it. And I'm just happy to be here today. So my book, again, is about the creature that was in my belly, and it was a direct reflection of what is on the inside of me. And so this book features a young father and a young son, something that I felt like needed to be represented nationally because we don't get enough attention, but that message of the greatness within is something that can relate to everybody. I think that that transcends race, religion, and all things. And so you'll actually see in my book here, I'll show you a few things. You'll see Jace here actually as a doctor. You'll see him as a lawyer, as a writer, and as different things. So you get to see Jace in these different lights, which means that young kids can see themselves in that light with a character that looks like them too as well. You can also see here where I take Jace and I turn him into a king. So Jace gets to see himself as a king, which is what I was being shown through people, through different messages that God would send me. You also would see here where I show Jace as a superhero. And so you get to see yourself in all these different lights, and you'll realize that this character really does look like me because it is, again, a direct reflection of who I am. Even the adult character is a direct reflection of who I am. And in reality, I do believe that kids need this book. In reality, I'm a dreamer, and that's why I go by Jared the Dreamer, and there are a lot of kids who don't dream anymore. They don't get a chance to use their imagination. They don't get a chance because we expose them to our current reality. So a kid that says that, well, I want to be a farmer, I want to be a farmer when I grow up, we might tell them, well, you know, farmers don't make very much money. But that wasn't the point for that kid. That kid really wanted to be a farmer. And I believe that you can make it what you want to be. So you can grow it as far as you want to grow it. And I liken even my mind to a garden. And nowadays I plant good seeds, and so I've been able to produce good fruits. I constantly cultivate my mind by reading, by studying, by looking into what all of you guys are doing and seeing how I can be a part of that and how can I get involved in my own way with the people that I'm connected to. And so even in my book, you'll hear where I say the child begins to call the father, and it's important because the father is actually in his life. And he says, Dad, Dad, come see. I think someone's dancing on the inside of me. The dad says, oh, really, son? Now, what did you do? How'd you get someone stuck inside of you? And so the son says, Dad, there's a creature in my belly, and I know this is true. He says, oh, my son, that's just the greatness on the inside of you. Jay says, but I feel it. I hear it. It tickles me, too. The dad says, yes, I know the feeling, and I feel it, too. That's just the greatness on the inside of you. And that's all I kept hearing as I began to write that book was the word greatness, greatness, and it began just to be in me and be a part of me. And I would liken and say that my insides had finally started catching up with my outside. My confidence began to raise, and I actually had began to love myself again. Last night I had an event to raise money to gift 1,000 kids with a copy of my book. Thank you for your attendance, Ms. Nguyen. It turned out very well. I've never had a birthday party. I've never had a real event. So to see that room filled with people who love me and who really genuinely support me, it really did something for me then. And I'll also tell you another story now, a small one, which is 3 days ago, will show you the importance of this book. 3 days ago, I'm in a gas station. It's about 9 o'clock at night. There are about 4 young boys in the gas station. Of course, when they look just like me, and I walk in there, I slow down just to see what's going on, just to make sure. I would rather say something to him than maybe someone else. And so the young man came up to the front of the gas station and said, hey, I know you. You wrote that book. And I looked at him and I said, well, what book did I write? And he said, there's something on the inside of me. There's a monster on the inside of me. I said, there's a creature in my belly. He said, yes, that's the book. I read that book every single night. It's my favorite book. And so I was like, oh, man, I'm like overwhelmed at that point. I said, well, how do you even know who I am? He said, well, your picture is on the back of the book. He said, you don't look like, how old are you? I said, I'm 24 years old. He said, you don't look like it. You got that Benjamin Button. And I'm like, well, I laugh because I'm like, well, why do you understand the concept of Benjamin Button, but you're a genius even at your young age? And I said, well, the typical thing, I've never been approached like that when someone says, hey, I know you wrote that, you did that. And I said, the typical thing I saw on TV, which was, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And so he says, well, I want to write books when I grow up. You inspire me. And so I didn't know if he was just talking my head up at this point, but it was definitely working. And but in that moment is when I knew why it is I was doing what I'm doing. So again, I am raising monies to be able to gift 1,000 kids across the city of New Orleans in all of your respective districts with a copy of this children's book, because I think it's important. It did things for me, and the minute that it reaches these households, I believe that we're going to see a big healing across the city of New Orleans, and it won't take Saints victories to get that done. So thank you.
Thank you, Jared. Isn't he awesome? Isn't he awesome? That's right. Oh, Jared. Okay. Councilman Williams.
I'll say what I've told you before. Before you wrote this book, you are wise beyond your years. You have very eloquently described what a lot of young men and a lot of old men don't even realize is happening inside of them. And it's been happening for generations. And you have encapsulated it in a way that even the youngest mind and soul can get it. So thank you for that. I'm so proud of you. This is amazing. Please tell people who are listening where they can get this book.
Okay.
So that it's Christmas time.
It is.
I'd like to see this under every tree in the country because it needs to be there.
I mean,
A lot of people can learn from you and can learn from the characters that you created from you. So Jared, I'm so proud of you, and keep going, and I'll be in touch with you about helping you,
Thank you.
get those thousands of books into 1,000 kids' hands.
That means a lot to me. Thank you.
You mean a lot to me, brother. Thank you.
Councilman Jeruso?
Jared, good morning. I just want to say you touched on a lot of themes this morning: perseverance, determination, but the one that I want to sort of pat you on the back for the most is courage. I think it takes a lot of courage to recognize where you are. I think it takes even more courage to not only recognize where you are, but also to know that you can express those things publicly. And it's not easy what you just did, to talk about where you were, where you've come from, identify what you're feeling inside of yourself, and then be able to share that with other people. There's a lot of times that we have to expose ourselves to people. And I think it's very brave of you to come here and do this in public, to share your story, and to make us all realize, as Jason just said, the importance and the power of expressing it so everybody understands it. So I really commend you, particularly at a young age, for not only recognizing what is going on, but also, I think more importantly, for being able to express it, identify it in yourself. And I'll just say this, when it comes to mental health issues, I say all the time, it's not a black issue, it's not a white issue, it's not a rich issue, it's not a poor issue. It's an issue for all of us. And I think men in particular are bad about talking about their feelings. Somebody asks you how you're doing, fine, you've had an entire conversation, right? And so I really applaud you, Jared, for having the conviction and the courage to be with us and for all of your work. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to be very brief because I had the absolute pleasure of getting to know you well and having a wonderful conversation with you. And I too, though, will have to add my voice and say you're probably one of the most self-aware 24-year-olds I've ever met. And when I say that, it's self-aware in general. There are not many people who are and have that ability to communicate it and to share it with so many people. And again, kudos. You're a very special person. And it's a wonderful time of year to plug this book. And I just want to continue plugging this book, y'all, because I think the main goal is that you also are so self-aware that you understand the importance of a book and trying to get 1,000 of them into the hands of children across the city. So how far away are you or are we from your goal?
After last night, I actually now have $1,500.63 or something like that. And so I need a minimum of $5,000 just to print those copies of the book. I got the company to come down $2,600 on the price for the cause, and to make that goal more manageable than it was before. And so I thank BookBaby for that. And so that's what I need left. That's about $3,500, if I'm not mistaken, is what I need left to be able to just print those books.
Well, I think we can all try to work with you and try to get some of that money and knock it down some. And do we have them all in our public libraries yet?
We do not have them in the public libraries yet. I have been moving by myself so far.
Okay.
And so as much as I was trying to do that too, I felt like it was more important that I get these books in the hands of the kids now before I do more personal things, such as get them in the libraries, which isn't just personal. Obviously, people can get the book too as well. But my focus has just been on those 1,000 copies so much that it's completely taken my mind.
Well, we'll all kick in some. And so, again, thank you so much for the work that you're doing. And we're just so thrilled that you're here. And it's just been such an honor and a pleasure to get to know you.
Thank you again,
Jared.
Ms. Palmer.
Hey, Jared. I haven't had the opportunity to get to know you, but just listening to you today, I am so impressed by you. I think it is really remarkable just what a profound and deep thinker you are. I wrote something down that you wrote. I mean, to be so young and to be able to say things like that you were measuring your success with someone else's ruler. That's a perfect way to put it. And in awe of your youth and the fact that you are just so accomplished in your way of being so self-aware of yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
And obviously with your book, I'm looking forward to reading it, and I'm obviously going to make a contribution towards helping you reach printing the 1,000 copies. So count on me for that for sure.
Means a lot.
But my question is, what's next? So what's next for you? Are you writing another book? Because I see your future being so bright. I just want to know what's next for you.
Well, actually, to be honest, the next book is pretty much done already. I'm just not going to say.
Of course it is. Yeah. Right. Right.
And currently, I'm just working on efforts for my nonprofit organization, Sunny with a Chance of Love, using love as the foundation and fuel to drive and eventually create change. Love, self-responsibility, unity, and forgiveness, the ability to move forward. What's next? What are we willing to do now that we weren't willing to do before to get to where we need to go? And so one of the first projects that I plan on doing with that is actually creating portable showers here in the city of New Orleans. So I will be seeking your help in that in the future. But literally putting a wall in the middle of a renovated, retired city bus and 2 showers, and being able to bring that to areas of high homelessness and give them just the gift of love, and just providing a lot of things that I, wish that I had felt. And so I just want to allow them to feel the same thing. So right now I'll be working on that nonprofit organization.
Jared, are you on any type of speaker circuit? Because if you're not, I'd like to help get you on one. I mean, you're just someone that kids in particular in our city need to hear from.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Thank
you would have such a great impact on their lives just to hear from you and hear your story. So I just thank you for everything that you've done. I'm going to have my staff circle back with you when we're done here, and we'll get all your information. And like I said, you can count on a contribution from me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning. I just want to say thank you, man. Too many times our children are told what they can't do. Too many times the limits are set for them before they even start.
Yes, sir.
In too many instances, they are prohibited from believing that they can achieve or be anything. The content of that book totally contradicts that, and I think that is a wonderful thing. Our children should not be limited in their thoughts. Now, reality is going to set in, and everybody's not going to be able to do everything.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is our children do have the ability to dream, and we ought to encourage those dreams. The content of the book is fabulous. I commend you, and I look forward to working with you. And again, my friend, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Banks.
Councilmember Wynn, just one last thing. Since people have been listening to you via public access already, I just got a text from Coleman Ridley, the managing director of the Business Council. He's got $1,000 for you. We'll get that today.
Thank you. Wow, thank you.
I told him I would match that, so it's $2,000.
Don't make me cry. I'm not trying.
Councilmember Moreno just said I can add her for the other $1,000. The chair, the chair of Nord C, Brian Agana, was so moved that he's on his way right now with his checkbook to fill out the rest, whatever you need to make sure we can get this done. All right? Thank you, Jared.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Jared, you want? Okay, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Keep up the great work, Jared. You have a bright future, as my colleagues have stated. When I saw you in the Pontilli coffee shop, when I went to get coffee, you were engaging with everybody, you were talking, and you were well received. So keep up the great work and keep pushing. The sky's the limit.
And that means a lot coming from another Jared, too.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
So, Jared, we have a proclamation for you requested by Councilman Palmer and myself, signed by all 7 of us. So, Jared Green, author, activist, leader, and nonprofit organization founder. Actions speak louder than words, and your advocacy, civic engagement, and attitude of caring and sharing have endured you to the City Council West Wing. Authoring a children's book entitled There's a Creature in My Belly will encourage hundreds of children, now thousands of children, to reach for the stars. You are an inspiration, an example of overcoming obstacles and achieving your dream. Thank you very much, Jared.
Thank you.
We're going to come down and take a picture